Okay, find the zeros. You know, this was just like a couple of homeworks that we had where we're in a chapter about rational functions. That's not a rational function. Okay, so when it talks about finding the zeros, you'd kind of like to do it like you've been doing it with rational functions. The zeros of a rational function are the zeros of the numerator. But because it's not written in that form, you just have to find the zeros. Or you have to put it in that form and then use the zeros of the numerator. I think it'd be just as easy to say, let's just find the zeros. Let's substitute 0 for h of x and solve for x. Right? So subtract 6 from both sides. So negative 6 equals 4 over x squared plus 2. Okay, we need to multiply both sides by x squared plus 2. So that these cancel. Right, now we have negative 6x squared minus 12 equals 4. Solve for x. Right, so this one we can add 12 to both sides. Negative 6x squared equals 16. X squared equals negative 16 over 6. X equals plus or minus the square root of negative 16 over 6. What does that tell you about the zeros? There are none, right? It would be an imaginary number. We're looking for zeros, meaning places where it crosses the x-axis on the graph. They got to be real numbers. These are not going to be real numbers. They're not. No, at this point you don't, because you can see it's the square root of a negative number, so you should just stop at that point. You could have, let's say, at some point you could have just like graphed it. You could have graphed this thing right here and looked for where it crosses the x-axis. It would have never crossed the x-axis. You could just say from the graph, it doesn't cross, so there are no zeros. Yeah. We don't need to, because we're being asked for zeros, which are real numbers. So when we see that this is going to lead to I as the solution, we can just say no zeros. So this is going to be imaginary, which is no zeros.